Hi everyone, welcome back to another instructional video in Mathematics 9. For this video, we are going to talk about quadratic inequality. Alright, so first let us define first what is a quadratic inequality. So first, to say that we have a quadratic inequality in one variable, it's an inequality that contains polynomial whose highest exponent is 2. Since we're talking about quadratic, of course, we need to put in mind that the highest exponent of your variable, whether it be x, a, or whatever literal coefficient, it should be, or it should have the highest exponent of 2 for it to become a quadratic inequality. Another condition is that we know that there is also a general form for this, and for it to be in general form, it's a, b, and c should be real numbers with a greater than 0 and a is not equal to 0. Why? Because we know that the value of the a comes from the quadratic term. So if we do not have a quadratic term, therefore we cannot identify a value or a real number for a. And last condition is that, of course, for it to become an inequality, it should have these symbols. We have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Now, if you see this, any of these signs in your expression, then it is a quadratic inequality. Okay, so now let's have different algebraic expression and let's identify if it is a quadratic inequality or not. I have here 5 examples of algebraic expressions. Number 1, 2x squared minus 5x plus 10 greater than 0. Is it a quadratic inequality or not? It is a quadratic inequality. Why? Number one condition for it to be a quadratic inequality, there should be a variable with highest exponent of 2. Now, as you can see, this is satisfied on the first term, 2x squared. Variable is x, and the highest exponent is 2. Second condition to be a quadratic inequality is that we should use an inequality sign. And in this particular example, we used greater than. Greater than is an inequality sign, therefore, first example is a quadratic inequality. Next example is 5x squared plus 2x. Is it a quadratic inequality? It is not, this is not a quadratic inequality. Why? Though it is satisfied that it is a quadratic expression because there is a variable x with the highest exponent of 2, but there is no inequality sign. So therefore, this is not inequality, neither it is an equation because there is also no equal sign. So therefore, it's not quadratic inequality. Now let's go with the third example. X squared minus 9 is equal to 15. Is it a quadratic inequality? Now as we can see, quadratic expression is also satisfied with the first term, x squared, because it's a variable x with exponent of 2. But it is not a quadratic inequality because the sign used in this expression is an equal sign. Therefore, this is a quadratic equation, but this is not a quadratic inequality. Now, on the fourth example, I have 3x squared minus 9 less than or equal to 15. Is it a quadratic inequality? Yes, it is a quadratic inequality because, again, there is a quadratic term, 3x squared, and there is an inequality sign, less than or equal to. Now let us go with the last expression. I have here quantity of x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 2 greater than or equal to 9. Is it a quadratic inequality? Now here comes an example that is quite tricky. Why? Because as we can see, right in the expression, there is no variable with a highest exponent of 2. This makes the expression not quadratic, as we can see as it is. But if we can try to multiply x plus 3 with x minus 2 using FOIL method, we can have x squared plus x minus 6 greater than or equal to 9. Therefore, we can say that the last example is a quadratic inequality. Again, after we use the FOIL method with multiplying x plus 3 and x minus 2, then we'll have x squared plus x minus 6, which obviously is a quadratic inequality. Now for this week, this will be the first learning task that you have to accomplish. We have learning task 1. This can be found in page 22. You have to write your answers in a one whole sheet of paper, copy and answer this table in your one whole sheet of paper, the given, and then you just have to check on the column of quadratic inequality or not quadratic inequality based on the given algebraic expression. Now, to further understand what is a quadratic inequality, we should understand first what is a solution set. Because from a solution set, we can identify what are the values of the x based on a solution set. Let us first have a quick recall on how we identify a solution set in a particular algebraic inequality. Now, for example, I have x is greater than 6. Now, how are we going to identify the solution set for this? It would be very easier for us to know the solution set if we are going to write it in a number line. Now, first things first to do in a number line, we know that in the given, there is a real number, which is 6. Now, we are going to start with that. We are going to mark number 6 on the number line based on these criteria. If we see the symbol or in the given as less than or greater than, we are going to have a circle used in the number line as a hollow circle. Okay? But if it is a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to sign, we are going to have a solid circle like this. Okay, now on this first example, we have x is greater than 6. So therefore, we use the sign greater than, we are going to use a hollow circle to mark it in our number line, just like this. That is in number 6. Now after that, we are going to mark all the numbers greater than 6. Now, how do we do that? My trick here is just looking at the inequality sign. Now, as you can see, we used greater than, and this greater than is actually pointing us to our right side. Now, that is also what we are going to do in the number line. We are going to shade all the numbers in the right side of number 6, just like this, to identify that the solution set are all the numbers greater than 6. All marked numbers after 6. Okay, now let's try another example. I have here x is less than or equal to negative 2. Again, to identify the solution set, we are going to use it in a number or mark it in a number line. Number that is given in our solution set is negative 2. we are going to mark -2 in the number line. Now, how are we going to mark that? We are going to base that on the inequality sign. Since this is less than or equal to, we are going to use a solid circle in -2. So there it is. It's a solid circle. Now, after that, we are going to mark all the numbers going back to our sign that is less than or equal to, and this sign is pointing to your left now. Therefore, from the solid circle, we are going to mark all the numbers going to your left. Just like that. And this number line shows the solution set for x less than or equal to -2. Now let's have last example. X is greater than or equal to -4. Again, let's mark it in a number line. -4 is here. Since the inequality sign is greater than or equal to, we are going to use a solid line. And your inequality sign is pointing to your left side. Therefore, from -4, we are going to mark all the numbers going to your left. As what direction your inequality sign is giving you, pointing to your left. Therefore, all the numbers from -4 going left will be marked. Now, this is how you are going to show the solution set in a number line. And so second output for this week, you're going to do learning task 2 that can be found in page 24. Now, on this particular learning task, you are going to write your answer in a graphing paper because for learning task 2 set A, you're going to graph the following in the number line, just like what we did earlier. So there are 5 items. Just graph the following in a number line, and then you're good to go. 5 items. Now, for letter B, it's the other way around. The graph is given. Now, you're going to give the inequality, just like this. The inequality expression. Okay? Now, let's have an example for learning task 2. Letter A, you're going to graph this in a number line. As I have said, you're going to use a graphing paper to do this activity. Now, suppose I have x is less than -7. So what you're going to do is to write a number line. And just like before, you're going to mark -7 on the number line. But since the inequality sign used is less than only, then you are going to mark -7 with a hollow line. Okay, and then after that, you're going to refer to the inequality sign where it is pointing. It is pointing to your right. Therefore, all the numbers after on the right side of -7 will be marked. And this will be your answer for learning task 2 for these 5 items. Now, for learning task 2, B, you're going to do it the other way around. Okay? Now, this time you are given the inequality graph. Now, you're going to give the inequality expression. Now, how are you going to do this? It's simple. You're going to look at the number line where it is marked. Since it is marked on -9, therefore that is the number that you're going to write. So that's -9. Now after that, you're going to look at where the numbers are marked. From -9, it is in the right side of -9. So therefore, your inequality should also be pointing on the right side. And it is a greater than sign. Now, the question is, it should be greater than or equal to. Now, this is the time you're going to look at how negative 9 was marked. It was marked with a hollow line. Therefore, it's a hollow line. It should not be equal to. So it will remain as a greater than sign. And then, of course, you're going to write your variable x here. Now, your answer for this particular graph or solution set will be x is greater than negative 9. And that is how you're going to do learning task B. Learning task 2, set B. Now let's see how we are going to identify the solution set for a quadratic inequality. I have here one example, x squared plus 4x minus 21 is greater than 0. So first thing that you're going to do to find the solution set for a quadratic inequality is to transform the inequality into an equation. Okay, so how are we going to do that? It's simple as converting your inequality sign that is greater than, you're going to make it an equal sign. It's simple as that. So as you can see, from greater than here, we transform it to an equation or an equal sign. So we have now x squared plus 4x minus 21. Now after that, we're going to solve for the roots. Okay, now since this is a quadratic equation, you can use any method that we have discussed before where you are comfortable with. You can use factoring, completing the square, use the quadratic formula if you're comfortable with that. That's okay with me, for as long as you're going to identify the roots or the values of the x. Now here, I have identified the roots by factoring. So I factored x squared plus 4x minus 21, and I have x plus 7 and x minus 3 as the factor of the quadratic equation. So you know why? Because positive 7 and negative 3 is a factor of negative 1. And if you add these two numbers, we'll get positive 4. So the roots are here. We're going to equate the two factors to 0. So that is x plus 7 equal to 0. And, of course, x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then from this 2x equation, find the values of x. Obviously, on this factor, we'll have x is equal to negative 7 because we have transposed that on the other side. And for the second factor, x minus 3, value of x is positive 3. Now moving on, we are going to mark this in a number line. So how are we going to mark these numbers in the number line? So I have here negative 7 and 3. So negative 7 will be here, and positive 3 will be here. Okay, now why did I use a hollow line? We are going to go back to the original inequality, quadratic inequality, and the inequality sign used is greater than. So therefore, we are going to use a hollow line for these two roots. Now, when we mark these two roots, now after having mark the two roots in our number line, this actually divides our number line into three parts. So the first part is from negative 8 to negative 11, negative 6 to 2 is the second part, and positive 4 to 11 is the third part. Now what are we going to do next is to choose points. We are going to choose points from each part of the number line when it was divided. Now, again, for the first part, negative 8 to negative 11, I guess I'm going to just go with the test point, which is negative 10. Actually, you can choose any number from negative 8 to infinity here. But for me, I want to choose negative 10. Now, that's up to you, whatever testing points you want to choose. Okay, now for this second part of the number line, you're going to choose again any test points. For me, the easiest, I'll go with the easiest test point, and that will be 0. You're going to see why in a little while. And for the last part of the number line, I'm going to choose positive 5 as my test point. Now, you're going to test these points or values of x against the original given, which is x squared plus 4x minus 21. Now, what you're going to do is to just simply substitute the value of x you have chosen in the original equation. So, like this. We have substitute your x becomes negative 10. As you can see here. So we'll have negative 10 squared plus 4 times negative 10 minus 21. So that will be 100 minus 40 minus 21 greater than 0. Okay? Now, it can be simplified as 39 greater than 0. Now, after this, we are going to make a judgment if this is true or false. Is 39 greater than 0? Now, of course, this is true. 39 is greater than 0. Now, for the second, we're going to move on with the second test point, and that is 0 now. Of course, we are going to do the same, substitute the value of x in the inequality. So we'll have 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 21 greater than 0. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is the easiest testing point because 0 squared is equal to 0 and 4 times 0 is equal to 0. So you'll be left out with negative 21 greater than 0. Now, make a judgment. Is it true or false? Of course, it is false. Negative 21 is not greater than 0. Okay, now for the last test point, which is x is equal to 5, going to substitute that on the given inequality. 5 squared plus 4 times 5 minus 21 greater than 0. 25 plus 20 minus 21 greater than 0, or 24 greater than 0. Now make a judgment. Is it true or false? Of course, this is true. Okay, now after making that judgment, remember that these test points came from each part of the number line. Now what you're going to do when you get a true value or two true testing points, you're going to mark that in the number line as a solid part. Okay, just like this. Negative 10 came from the first part and it is a true testing point. Now we are going to mark that in the number line. All the numbers where negative 10 belong will be marked just like this. Okay, now x equal to 0, it came out to be false, then we're not going to do anything on this part because this is the middle part of the equation. Came from the testing point 0, turned out to be false. We're not going to do anything about it. Now for the last testing point, that's positive 5, came out to be true. As I have said, since this is true, came from this part, you're going to also mark that in the number line as a solution set. Now, we are ready to give the solution set for x squared plus 4x minus 21 greater than 0 based on how we have graphed it in the number line. So the solution set will be, so the solution set is the marked, what is marked in your number line. So this is it. So that will be negative 7, hollow line. So this will give us a x less than negative 7. Why x less than negative 7? It's marked on negative 7, hollow line, hollow circle. So that is only less than. Why less than? Because all the lines pointing on the left side of negative 7, left side also is what your less than is pointing to. And for this part of the number line, solution set will be marked at 3. So x and then 3. Now, why is this greater than? because all the numbers that we have shaded are going to the right side of positive 3. And greater than is pointing right side. It's simple as that. Okay. And for your last output for this week will be learning task 4, that is in page 24. You're going to solve this problem and show the step-by-step process. So we have here a word problem, a quadratic inequality word problem. So what you're going to do is to give the inequality that is given on this problem, just like what we did last week in the equation, but this time this is an inequality now. So you can see the length of the floor is longer than its width, and that is greater than 200 square meters. So instead of using an inequality sign, it will be a greater than sign, 200 meters, okay, given on the word problem. So you're going to give the quadratic inequality and then solve for the roots. After solving for the roots, you're going to mark the roots on the number line. You're going to have 3 parts in the number line. Identify test points, test these points if it's true or false, and then go back on the number line and mark if it is true or false. And then identify eventually a solution set for this particular problem. So that is learning task 4. So that is it for our instructional video for this week. I hope you learned a lot. Give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to like our Facebook page, DepEd Tayo Luis Y. Ferrer Jr. West National High School, for the latest updates. And don't forget to also subscribe to this YouTube channel, DepEd Tayo West High, for more instructional videos from your teachers. I'll see you again on the next one. Bye!